Claudia Lawrence, a vibrant 35-year-old chef from the historic city of York, England, disappeared under circumstances that remain shrouded in mystery. On the evening of March 18, 2009, Claudia finished her shift at the University of York's Goodricke College, where she worked as a chef preparing meals for staff and students. After leaving work, she was last seen walking the familiar route to her cottage on Heworth Road, a journey she had taken countless times without incident. It was a mild spring day and nothing seemed unusual. Yet, by the following morning, Claudia had vanished without a trace. Her absence marked the beginning of a case that would baffle police, captivate the nation, and leave her loved ones searching for answers. What began as an ordinary evening spiraled into one of the most perplexing and haunting unsolved cases in modern history. To understand Claudia's disappearance, one must first delve into her world. Born in Malton, North Yorkshire, she grew up in a close-knit family and had a strong bond with her parents, Peter and Joan Lawrence. Claudia was known for her warmth, friendliness, and adventurous spirit. She loved her work as a chef at Goodricke College, where her early morning shifts often began before sunrise. Her life in York was comfortable yet unremarkable, at least on the surface. Claudia had a circle of loyal friends and a strong relationship with her family. She enjoyed spending her evenings at local pubs, socializing, and taking long walks. Despite her seemingly ordinary routine, hints of complexity in her personal life would emerge during the investigation, raising questions about whether her disappearance was as random as it initially seemed. On the morning of March 19, 2009, Claudia's absence was first noticed when she failed to show up for her early morning shift at the college. It was highly uncharacteristic of her to skip work without notifying anyone. Concerned colleagues tried calling her mobile phone, but their calls went unanswered. By midday, alarm bells began to ring louder. Claudia's father, Peter Lawrence, was informed of her absence and grew increasingly worried. He tried reaching out, but Claudia's phone remained silent. It was as if she had vanished overnight. When friends visited her home to check on her, they found her cottage eerily undisturbed. Piecing together Claudia's final known movements, investigators established that she had spoken to her best friend, Susie Cooper, on the evening of March 18th. The two had a friendly phone call during which Claudia discussed plans for the following day. Nothing in her tone or words suggested she was in any kind of trouble. Security cameras captured Claudia walking home from work earlier that day, her demeanor calm and ordinary. She reached her cottage and, as far as anyone could tell, settled in for the night. There were no signs of forced entry or a struggle at her home. The next day, however, Claudia did not turn up for work, and all traces of her seemed to vanish into thin air. The mystery deepened with every hour. Who or what interrupted her ordinary life that evening? Could it have been someone she knew, or had a stranger been lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike? When Claudia Lawrence's friends and family entered her cottage on Heworth Road, they were met with a strange and unsettling scene. The house was quiet, everything in its place, as though Claudia had simply stepped out for a moment. Her purse, bank cards, and other essentials were untouched. Yet, crucial items, her mobile phone and a distinctive silver caramel rucksack, were conspicuously missing. There were no signs of a struggle, no broken locks, and no indication that anything violent had occurred. The house felt like a snapshot of an ordinary life paused abruptly. This absence of disruption raised chilling possibilities. Had Claudia left willingly, or had someone she trusted coaxed her out into the night? As detectives combed through Claudia's phone records, they uncovered a clue that hinted at the final moments of her known life. A text message had been sent from her phone late on the night of March 18th, just hours before her disappearance. While the police have never revealed the contents of the message, they disclosed that it suggested she had plans to meet someone that evening. Who was this person, and what role did they play in Claudia's fate? Could the message have been a harmless exchange between friends, or was it a calculated trap? With no further activity on her phone after that night, this cryptic message became one of the case's most tantalizing and elusive pieces of evidence. In the initial stages of the investigation, police considered the possibility that Claudia had left her life voluntarily. There was no evidence of forced entry at her home, and her friends admitted she occasionally enjoyed spontaneity. However, those closest to her dismissed this theory. Claudia had made plans for the following day, including meeting her father and a friend. She had left her passport and savings behind, further contradicting the idea that she had run away. As days turned into weeks, the voluntary disappearance theory began to unravel. Police began to focus on a darker possibility. Claudia may have been taken against her will. As investigators delved deeper into Claudia's life, they uncovered a series of personal relationships that cast a shadow over the investigation. Claudia was known to have discreet connections with several men, some of whom were married. These relationships, which she kept hidden from most of her friends and family, became a focal point of the inquiry. Could one of these connections have turned sour, leading to jealousy, betrayal, or violence? Or was Claudia entangled with someone whose life she unknowingly disrupted? Friends described her as trusting but private, a combination that may have made her vulnerable to someone with ill intentions. These revelations painted a picture of a young woman with a complex personal life, raising the chilling question: had one of these relationships played a part in her disappearance? As investigators pieced together the timeline of Claudia Lawrence's final days, unsettling reports began to surface. Witnesses claimed to have seen Claudia in the company of unfamiliar men in the weeks leading up to her disappearance. These sightings included Claudia sharing quiet conversations with men in local pubs and lingering near her cottage late at night. One particularly haunting account came from a neighbor who reported seeing a man loitering near Claudia's home just days before she vanished. The man was described as behaving suspiciously, but his identity was never determined. Could these interactions hold the key to solving the case? Or were they unrelated coincidences, casting shadows on an already convoluted mystery? In the days following Claudia's disappearance, the streets of York became a hub of activity as search efforts intensified. Police officers, volunteers, and search and rescue teams scoured the city and its outskirts. Specialist cadaver dogs were deployed to detect any traces of Claudia, and divers searched nearby rivers and canals. The media amplified the search, with Claudia's face appearing on posters and news reports across the country. Yet, despite these massive efforts, there was no sign of Claudia. No clothing, no belongings, no physical evidence, just an eerie void. The absence of clues left investigators puzzled and the public anxious. How could someone disappear so completely in such a familiar environment? One of the most confounding aspects of the case was the abrupt cessation of activity from Claudia's mobile phone. Investigators discovered that her phone had been active until the early morning of March 19th, when it pinged its last signal in the Heworth area of York, close to her home. After that silence, the phone was either switched off or destroyed, cutting off any chance of tracking her movements. This act felt deliberate, calculated, a move to erase a digital footprint. Who had the motive to silence her phone? And where did it go after its final ping? For Claudia's parents, Peter and Joan Lawrence, the disappearance of their daughter was a devastating blow. Peter, in particular, became the public face of the campaign to find Claudia. He held press conferences, engaged with media outlets, and worked tirelessly to keep her case in the spotlight. The strain of the uncertainty was immense. Joan, Claudia's mother, spoke of sleepless nights and a growing sense of despair. Peter championed legal reforms for missing persons, including the introduction of Claudia's Law, allowing families to manage the affairs of missing loved ones. Despite their efforts, the lack of progress and the unrelenting mystery surrounding Claudia's disappearance took a visible toll on the family. Their heartbreak became a painful reminder of how unanswered questions can consume those left behind. In 2015, a glimmer of hope appeared in the otherwise stagnant investigation. North Yorkshire police arrested several men on suspicion of Claudia's murder. These individuals were believed to have been acquaintances of Claudia, either through her personal life or social circles. The arrests sparked widespread media attention and rekindled the public's hope for answers. However, the investigation hit a roadblock. Despite the arrests, authorities struggled to gather sufficient evidence to formally charge any of the suspects. Forensic searches, witness interviews, and hours of interrogations yielded no concrete proof tying these men to Claudia's disappearance. Without physical evidence or definitive witness testimony, the case remained frustratingly unresolved. As investigators examined the scant evidence, a chilling theory began to emerge. They proposed that Claudia may have been targeted by someone she trusted, someone she willingly allowed into her home. This possibility explained the lack of forced entry and the seemingly ordinary state of her cottage. This theory raised unnerving questions. Who in Claudia's life could have harbored such dark intentions, and why? Despite this angle, the investigation stalled due to the absence of a smoking gun that could confirm the involvement of a specific individual. Detectives were left chasing shadows, desperate to uncover the missing link that could unravel the mystery. Claudia's case was not the first unexplained disappearance in the region, and it wouldn't be the last. Detectives noted unsettling parallels between her vanishing and other unsolved cases across northern England. Women in similar age ranges with seemingly ordinary lives had also disappeared under mysterious circumstances. Speculation grew that a serial predator might be operating in the area, preying on women who fit a particular profile. Yet, with no solid connections between the cases, this theory remained speculative. The eerie similarities only added to the mystery, leaving both investigators and the public to wonder, was Claudia the victim of a calculated, isolated crime or part of a chilling pattern of disappearances? In the absence of concrete answers, speculation about Claudia Lawrence's fate grew increasingly diverse and at times outlandish. Some theorized that Claudia fell victim to someone within her social circle, perhaps an acquaintance or a lover whose jealousy or anger spiraled out of control. Others pointed to the possibility of a random encounter gone horribly wrong, suggesting she may have been targeted by a stranger who took advantage of her routine. Another persistent theory suggested Claudia might still be alive, having chosen to disappear deliberately. While her family vehemently denied this possibility, some speculated she could have fled to escape a dangerous situation or start anew under a different identity. However, this idea seemed less plausible given the lack of any sightings or communication from her since that fateful night. Each theory presented its own challenges, but all shared one common flaw. They were built on speculation, not evidence. The gaps in the investigation left room for these questions to fester, keeping Claudia's case shrouded in uncertainty. From the moment Claudia's disappearance was reported, the media seized upon the story. National headlines chronicled every detail of her life, scrutinizing her relationships, habits, and routines. News outlets painted contrasting images of Claudia, a dedicated professional with a vibrant social life and a private individual whose choices sometimes led her into risky territory. While the media coverage kept Claudia's case in the public eye, it also raised concerns about sensationalism. Some reports focused more on the intrigue surrounding her personal life than on the investigation itself, potentially distracting from the search for real answers. This media frenzy also placed tremendous pressure on Claudia's family. Her parents, Peter and Joan, had to endure not only the pain of their daughter's disappearance, but also the invasive speculation about her character. Despite the challenges, Peter used the media attention to push for changes in how missing persons cases were handled, ensuring Claudia's name remained at the forefront of the public consciousness. As the years stretched on, the disappearance of Claudia Lawrence became one of Britain's most haunting unsolved mysteries. With no new leads or breakthroughs, the case turned cold, leaving her family and friends grappling with an agonizing lack of closure. Claudia's father, Peter Lawrence, refused to let her memory fade into obscurity. He became a tireless advocate for missing persons, fighting to change the legal system to better support families like his. His efforts led to the introduction of Claudia's Law in 2019. Officially known as the Guardianship Missing Persons Act, the law allows relatives of missing individuals to manage their financial and legal affairs, relieving some of the burdens families face while waiting for answers. Despite these efforts, Claudia's fate remained an open wound in the fabric of her community. Her name became a symbol of resilience and unanswered questions, a stark reminder of how a single moment can alter lives forever. More than a decade later, the facts of Claudia's disappearance remain frustratingly sparse. We know she vanished between her cottage and an unknown destination on the night of March 18, 2009. We know she was last seen walking home after her shift at the University of York's Goodricke College, seemingly at ease. Her life, while outwardly ordinary, held private complexities, relationships that were kept secret, habits that strayed from her routine. Investigators revealed that Claudia may have been meeting someone that night, but the identity of this person remains a mystery. What's perhaps most perplexing is the lack of physical evidence. No signs of a struggle, no personal belongings discovered, and no sightings of Claudia after that evening. Every potential lead has unraveled into dead ends, leaving her story suspended in a void of unanswered questions. The few known details paint a fragmented picture, but none can definitively explain how or why Claudia vanished. The case remains an enigma, leaving a void not only for those who knew her, but for everyone drawn to the mystery of her disappearance. More than a decade has passed since Claudia Lawrence disappeared, but the questions surrounding her fate remain as haunting as ever. Who was the person she was potentially meeting on the night of March 18, 2009? Was it someone she trusted, someone she feared, or someone she barely knew? Did Claudia unknowingly walk into a dangerous situation, or was she targeted by someone who had been watching her for some time? The lack of physical evidence adds an unsettling layer to this mystery. How does someone vanish so completely in a world so connected? Her cottage was undisturbed, her bank accounts untouched, and no belongings were left behind as clues. Even her phone's final ping offered little insight, its silence a chilling reminder of the unknown events that unfolded after she disappeared. And then there are the personal dynamics, relationships Claudia kept private, connections she didn't share with her closest friends or family. Could one of these hidden aspects of her life hold the key to understanding what happened? Or is her fate tied to something entirely unexpected, a chance encounter with someone whose intentions turned sinister? The possibilities are endless, yet none provide a definitive answer. Was Claudia the victim of a calculated, premeditated crime? Did she meet someone who lured her away under false pretenses? Or is there a chance, however small, that she chose to disappear voluntarily to escape something we may never know about? What is perhaps most frustrating is the feeling that the answers are out there, just beyond reach. Advances in technology, renewed interest in cold cases, or a single piece of overlooked evidence could one day unlock this mystery. But until that moment comes, Claudia's case will remain an enigma, one that continues to haunt her loved ones and intrigue those who have followed her story over the years. The tragedy of Claudia Lawrence's disappearance is not just the loss of her presence, but the devastating uncertainty that lingers for her family and friends. For her father, Peter Lawrence, the tireless campaigning and legal changes he championed were acts of love. but they could never replace the need for answers. For her mother, Joan, and her close-knit circle of friends, the void Claudia left behind is immeasurable. Could this case ever be solved? Is there a breakthrough waiting to be discovered, or will Claudia's fate remain one of the great unsolved mysteries of our time? We want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Claudia fell victim to someone she knew, or could her disappearance have been the work of a stranger? Do you believe the truth will ever come to light, or has too much time passed to uncover what truly happened that night? Share your theories in the comments below. Every idea matters in keeping this case alive. If you found this story compelling, make sure to give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more gripping true crime stories and unsolved mysteries. Click the bell icon to stay notified when we uncover the next case, diving deep into the stories that continue to confound investigators and captivate audiences. Your engagement helps bring attention to these cases, keeping hope alive for the families still searching for answers. Together, let's explore the questions that demand answers and the stories that refuse to fade into the shadows. What happened to Claudia Lawrence? The truth is out there, we just need to find it.